Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle, and this is one of my page-to-screen videos. In this series, I talk about a book that has been adapted to a movie or a TV show, and for today's video, I want to talk about Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day by Winnifred Watson. This is a book that was originally written in 1938, and this was also the book that won the World Book Day book battle. This was Kate Howe's choice, and so I just recently reread this book, and we had a wonderful discussion on Zoom about it. I really enjoyed that discussion. There was a lot of things that were brought up that really increased my enjoyment of the novel. So if you ever get an opportunity to talk about books with other people, it is just such a great opportunity to really dive deeper into the book and to think about things and hear about things that you may not have thought of yourself as you were reading the book. So Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day is the story of Miss Pettigrew, who is a woman I think she's early 40s, and she works, she gets work through an agency, and the majority of the work that she gets is as a governess, and she doesn't really like it very much. Apparently she's not really very good at it. And at the very beginning of this book, she gets a job to go to the apartment of Miss LaFosse, and she believes that she has two children that need a governess. And so Miss Pettigrew goes to the apartment, and when the apartment door opens, the action begins. And it is just such a wonderful, wonderful story. I loved the framework for this book. It is set in a day, which I absolutely loved. And the chapters, I don't know if you can see. So chapter 1, 9:15 a.m. to 11:11 a.m. Chapter 2, 11:11 a.m. to 11:35 a.m. Chapter 3, 11:35 a.m. to 12:52 p.m. I absolutely love that framework for telling this story. I love that it's just one day. But Winnifred Watson is a really good writer, because even though we only get less than 24 hours worth of Miss Pettigrew and Delicia LaFosse, who are the two main characters, you really get to know these two people, and then there are other characters that come into the story as well, and it is just fun. It was funny. There were moments that were really, really funny, and it was also just really interesting, this look into this life. So the one thing that I got from this story was, it seems to me to be the story of two women who were relying on others for their survival, and what it looked like for each of those two women, because it was very different. But the two women and how they influenced each other and changed each other's lives, that was really great as well. And something that came up in the Zoom discussion that I also really, really appreciated and I thought was genius, Catherine said this from Taking Tea with Catherine. She said that everybody is playing a part, and that is essentially true, especially Miss Pettigrew and Miss LaFosse. I always want to say LaFlosse. Miss LaFosse. They're both definitely playing a part, and that is a huge bit in this book about how we play parts and the face that we show to the world. And so as I thought about that more, it became very interesting to me to realize that one of the characters, Michael, is, I think, one of the only characters who is genuine, who doesn't appear to be playing a part. He is who he is. It's up front, it's out there, and I thought that was really, really interesting. The other thing that I noticed was there was so much drinking in this book. I mean, this is less than 24 hours that we get, and there is so much drinking, and it starts before lunch. And so I don't know if that's the time period or if it's the group of people that Miss LaFosse hangs out with, but there was a lot of drinking going on in this book. Okay, so let's now compare it to the movie. In 2008, the movie Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day came out. It was directed by Bharat Naluri. Sorry, I'm probably not saying that correctly. And it was fantastic. Now, what's interesting is that I actually saw the movie before I read the book. I've seen the movie a few times actually. And so as much as I love the book, I actually think I like the movie more, which is weird for me. But in this case, true. I really, really enjoyed the movie, and that, I think the reason is because of the cast. It had such an amazing cast. Miss Pettigrew was played by Frances McDormand, and Delicia LaFosse was played by Amy Adams. And then the rest of the cast as well was just phenomenal. Christina Cole, Stephanie Cole, Shirley Henderson, Kieran Hines, Lee Pace, and Mark Strong, among others. It was just such a well-cast movie, and I really, really enjoyed that. So it's interesting that there are some differences to the book, which always happens. I did think the movie stayed true to the essential plot of the book and the themes, the general feel of the story. I thought it stayed true to that. But there were some changes. So they did combine some characters so that there were less characters in the movie, which I think happens a lot, and it makes sense. I can completely understand why they did that. They also moved the cocktail party. So in the book, Delicia and Miss Pettigrew go to a cocktail party at someone else's house. And in the movie, they move that party to Delicia's house. But I believe that that was in order to give Phil maybe a little more screen time, bulk up his story a little bit. And then they also made Delicia and Michael American, and had them go back to America at the end of the book, or at the end of the movie. And I'm not 100% sure about this, but I have a feeling that it's because those two actors are American actors, and maybe they just didn't want to try to do an accent. I'm not entirely sure, but so that was another change. The biggest change, though, in the movie is that they moved it to 1939 instead of 1938 in order to bring in the war. So there's a big conversation between Miss Pettigrew and Joe about the previous war and how the young people in the story are it seems to be ignoring the signs that another war is coming, and that's because maybe that they don't remember the last war where Miss Pettigrew and Joe lived through the last war. And then of course there's a big scene at the very end where there's an air raid and bombs and all of that, and so really highlighting the fact that war is coming. And so that was an interesting choice for the movie. I'm not entirely sure why it was done, but I'm okay with that, because I completely understand that a movie is a different medium to a book, and I feel like they stayed true enough to the plot and the feel, the themes of the story in the movie. There was an interesting thing I noticed in the trivia section from IMDb that said Winnifred Watson's book was published in the fall of 1938 and it became a smash hit. Plans were in the works for a Hollywood film version starring Billy Burke as Miss Pettigrew, but the start of World War II brought these plans to a halt. The publisher re-released the book in 2000, which led to it being found again by Hollywood after more than 60 years. So I thought that was really interesting. And so at the end of this video, there was one quote from this book that I wanted to share with you. Okay. Oh, if only for once the Lord would be good and cause some miracle to happen to keep her here, to see for one day how life could be lived, so that for all the rest of her dull, uneventful days, when things grew bad, she could look back in her mind and dwell on the time when for one perfect day she, Miss Pettigrew, lived. So there you have it. That's my page-to-screen video of my thoughts on the book and the movie of Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day. Have you read this book? Have you seen the movie? I would love to chat with you about them in the comment section down below, and I will see you for another video soon. Bye.